but I want to jump back into that movement energy in your pieces. And I really would say that, like, a nice and loose, which is, I think, something that a lot of artists, they really try to go for. And it's a lot of people, I think, find that hard. They like being kind of tight can be
Yeah.
a tendency. Tell me, like, where do you think your ability to be loose, where do you think that comes from? Like, have you always been this way? Tell me about that.
No, actually, when I first started painting, I learned to paint. So I've always drawn, but I've never been I wasn't a painter until my kids were small and I started taking a painting class. I started to paint more realistically because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. But by nature, it was more impressionistic.
Mhm.
And the longer I painted, I guess I got more comfortable with the imperfection. And now I'm completely okay with them not looking perfect. And I find that it's more fun for me to do that. Music, it's funny. I just turn up the music, and depending on the pace of the music,
Yeah.
that can create more energy in the paintings. Just being in the right headspace. I still tend, I have to be careful about overworking things because
Mhm.
sometimes you just keep painting when you should stop. I think that's the biggest challenge is knowing when to stop because you can lose some of that looseness
Totally. What are
later
some of your
on.
cues that you've, like, learned, like, in a piece to feel like, "Okay, time to press pause at least"?
Stepping back when I paint, I think I was taught that early on
Mhm.
is just you can't, you get closer and closer. One
Mhm.
of the things I learned in a workshop one time, and I don't do it often enough, but like extend your brush by taping a pencil or a stick or
Yeah.
really making sure you're holding your brush back because you can't get too precise if
Right.
your brush is not that tight.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good tip.
yeah, just stopping, maybe taking a picture of it in the middle because I see things that I don't see in the painting that I can see in the picture
Mhm.
on my phone.
I like that
Um,
tip. I do that too, and I don't think
yeah.
anyone's brought that up on the podcast. I do that as well. I'll take a photo, and sometimes one of the things I'll do is I will kinda move it around zoomed in and see if there's I always sort of say to myself, if there's a part that if only that piece was showing, that I would be like, "Ugh,"
Yeah. Yes.
then I know
What do
that
I
needs
need to
work.
do?
But if
Yeah.
there's a part that
That's a
I'm
good
going like, "I love that little snippet, that little thumbnail," then I don't wanna touch it, until maybe later,
right.
but maybe not ever. So,
That's a great idea. I usually crop it out so I can see just the painting, but I've never
mhm.
done that, zoomed in on different areas. I like that.
Yeah, it's helpful. It can be annoying if you find lots that you don't like,
Yeah,
but
true.
it's
Thought I was finished.
but it's helpful. Do you use it feels like you would use some large brushes. Do you use
I do.
any Yeah, do you use any that are like, house painting kind of or supposed
Oh,
to be?
yeah. I do. Very non-precious,
Uh-huh.
big, flat utility brushes a lot of times when I start, especially, and then I'll go to a more of an artist brush
Yeah.
and something a little smaller.
Yeah, that
But
comes
sometimes I'll use a big brush and just use, like, the tip of it crossways
Mhm.
just so it stays loose, if that makes any
It
sense.
does. It does. That's super smart. I love that. One more thing with the movement and staying loose, I feel like it also helps kind of the outdoors movement that you would like one would feel in like an ocean breeze or like the literal landscape. Do you think like that's part of it too? Is it part of like where the looseness comes from or
I never thought about that, but I spent a lot of time outside. I've always loved being outside. My dad was really an outdoorsman, and so he drug me camping back when I was a
uh
kid, and we spent some time, in a little place along the river. And now I would much rather be at the beach, but I just love being outside. And you're right, the trees are moving, the leaves are moving, the air's moving. I never made that connection, but I do think that probably comes into my work.
It definitely does. Yeah.
Yeah.